It is October 1st, 2017. Welcome to the second episode of PodChamp. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. We are going to go through and introduce everyone who's on the podcast today. They're going to tell you a little bit about what they've been playing this week, and we're going to do them in the order that I determine. Starting off, we have former good gamer, head of the Thinking Ginger Squad, comedic master, and founder of the Ginger community on Twitch. It's AlexTheGinger.
Oh God, my community foundership is so pertinent. Oh, this is so good. So I've been playing Cuphead, and oh my God, dude, this game is so good. It's so ridiculously good. It's validating in a way because I'm used to getting hyped for a game, and then that game comes out and it's just trash, and I'm disappointed. And Cuphead had that thing going for it where because the art style was whimsical and very niche, you kind of assume that it's just going to be all art style and no substance. But no, dude, it is so fleshed out. It might be a Game of the Year contender for me already. I'm not even done with it. It is so stellar. I cannot wait to play it more. As soon as we're done with this podcast, I will probably do exactly that.
The animation style looks just amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. Because of the animation style, and this kind of caught me off guard, the game is 11 gigs. And I was like, oh, why in the world is this game 11 gigs? And then I remembered, oh yeah, it's like 1920 by 1080, and all the art in this game is hand-drawn. So it's frame by frame by frame of animation. The amount of love and detail, and it's something else.
Yeah, the sheer value you're getting to have that much hand-drawn art for $20 blows my mind.
Wait. It's hand-drawn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like every frame?
Yes.
The amount of work that went into this thing is astronomical.
Hence the delays.
Yeah, exactly. It's taken like 1,000 years to come out. But for like the first time in many years, when I was waiting for an indie game to come out, I can finally say the wait was actually worth it.
Oh, that's great. All right, moving on. She's a fan of heavy objects that stop boats from floating away. She kidnaps fictional animals to fight for her. She's the queen of creativity. It's Anchor.
Wow. These introductions might be my favorite part of this podcast. I'm assuming by capturing, what was it? Capturing fictional
You kidnap
animals?
fictional animals to fight for you, yeah.
Are you talking about Pokemon?
Yes, he is.
Well, that perfectly segues into what I've been playing this week. I have been feeling a little bit under the weather and have been really busy. And so I have mostly been working on some creative projects, as well as playing Pokemon Go. The Legendary Beast migration happened yesterday. So instead of the Legendary Beast Raikou, we now have Entei here in the States. So that's pretty hype. Everyone's really into it. I was just over like by a park earlier today, and there were like 50 people out at this like children's playground trying to catch this legendary beast. So it was pretty cool.
So I don't play Pokemon Go. I mean, I've seen the game, but so a legendary beast takes a whole bunch of people to beat it?
Yeah, it's essentially the raid boss system that they've come up with. It first started with the legendary birds, and now they have switched over to the legendary beasts, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, and they're rotating like regionally. So Entei, I think, was in either Europe or Asia this past month, and now it's over here in the US, and they're just gonna rotate them for a month each so that everyone can have a chance to battle them with a group of, between 10 or 20 people, and then you get a chance to catch the legendary beast. So the one I battled this morning I didn't catch, so I'm 0 for 1 so far.
Well, it sounds fun though, and gets a bunch of people who don't know each other out together.
Oh, it's a blast. As soon as it gets a little cooler out, I'm gonna be all over that.
That's really the best part about Pokemon Go. At least I mean I play it to some extent. That's always kind of the joke we have, is that I'm just napping them because I don't really do the battles and the raids and things.
Yeah, I'm definitely a collector too. I mean, it's all about having one of each. Like, I need one of each, no matter what I end up doing with them. It's like filling up that Pokédex for sure. And then also, as far as like my creative projects, it's fall and everyone is losing their minds. It's October today, and this is my favorite month. Of course, I'm biased. October is my birth month, but my creative projects are very fall/Halloween centric. I just finished a wreath, like a wreath for your door, that is Nightmare Before Christmas themed. So it's got Jack and Sally and Zero and like a really cute orange bow with like a skull in the middle. And I actually did that for a special order. So that was really fun to work on. I love making like big projects like that.
Very cool. All right. This guy is a fan of football simulator games and sarcasm. A man who believes behind every sunbeam is the next rain shower. The cheeriest guy I know, it's Ruukxx.
Hi. Ironically, the game that I've been playing this week is a football game. And by football, I mean soccer. And by that, I mean FIFA 18, which for the first day, I couldn't play at all because EA is an amazing company.
What was the issue?
Basically, you would start the game, it would get to the first loading screen, and then it would just it would basically be stuck on a load wall where it would just get stuck and you couldn't get past that certain point. So that was fun. And yeah, like any other FIFA game from the years before, it has changed a little bit. Like you'd only notice if you play sports games religiously, basically. Like the engine they're using, this is the second year they've used this engine. But besides that, it's another soccer game. You kick a ball into a net.
Yeah, I was going to say I really haven't played a soccer or football game since, wow, probably the late 90s. So I'm a little bit out of date as far as that goes. But what is the kind of new features they've added in this year, Ruukxx?
I actually have to think about this now.
Just it looks a little more pretty, or
the theme that they seem to do with sports games around the last couple of years is like trying to make some sort of story with a character they've made themselves. So last year you had a character called Alex Hunter, and basically he's a youth player, and then you go to sign for a club. The club don't think you're good enough, so you go on loan, and then you go back and prove that you're good enough. And this year it's just like, hey, they tried to sell you and it went bad, so you're going to America, and then you go to Europe, and that's as far as I've got. But gameplay wise, it's slower than last year, and it's more reliant on accuracy and positioning than it was before. That's about it, really. I mean, graphically, it's got better. The UI has got better for certain regions because FIFA was always concentrated around basically the leagues in Europe, like the English League and the Spanish League and the German League. But it's now gone to MLS, which is obviously America, and stuff like that.
Okay. Moving on, he's not sorry he's better at most games than you. An all-round nice guy and the audio king, it's Gigantus.
Ooh, wow. Well, thank you. I've actually just finished playing a game called Trackless. It's a game that just came out this month. It's a bit like Cuphead. It's all and drawn for the graphics, and it feels a bit like an old school adventure game. So you're playing as a seeker who goes to a trip in the mountains to get through several trials, and if you succeed, you get to go to a monolith called the Object. And basically the whole game is about figuring out what the object is, what it does. Nobody really knows what it's about, and once you go through all the trials, you get to finally see the object at the end. And it's really good. It's a game you can sit through in about 4 or 5 hours maybe, so you can just finish it in one sitting, and the ending is really satisfying for all the trials you've been through. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. Really nice game. It's about it was $10 for me on Steam, so I don't know for the US, I didn't check, but really cheap game on Steam, and it's a really nice time for like half a day you're through and you had a really good time, so I really enjoyed it.
And what did you say the name of that was again?
Trackless.
It is $10 in the US as well.
Okay.
And you said it was a 2D platformer as well?
It's more of like a point-and-click adventure game. It's not really a platformer. So you just go through all the trials, and it's more of a puzzle game, actually. You get through the different trials by solving puzzles. But the puzzles really aren't that hard. And it's text-based, so every time you have to do an action in the trials, you have to type a verb, like raise if you have to raise a platform or a rock or something like that, or activate if you have to activate a switch. And it's really fun, really nice, and like I said, not too hard. The problem with adventure games usually is like there's always that point in the game where you just get stuck on a puzzle for like 3 hours because you've completed everything and you don't know what to do. And this game is like short enough so you don't have really that kind of moment. You might get stuck for like 5-10 minutes, but since it's so short, you never get frustrated about it.
Huh. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, a point and click puzzle adventure game that is not too difficult sounds right up my alley.
Yeah. You could probably sit through it in one stream, actually. It's really nice.
All right. She's radioactive, shaped like a disc, and has 5 arms. She has a sharp tongue with a wicked wit. It's Starfish.
Hey, so primarily this week I've also been playing Cuphead, and I've really, really enjoyed it. I can't say enough good things. I'm not a super smooth platformer, so I'm having my difficulties with it, but it's definitely really fun to play. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I was surprised when you purchased that one actually, but you seem to be enjoying it. So
So the thing is, I will bang my head against a level forever if I feel like I'm making progress. And one of the really, really nice things that Cuphead does is every time you die, it tells you how close to the end you were. So you can see, am I dying a tenth into the level or am I almost at the boss? So you're actually seeing really clear progression as you learn the level.
It's funny you bring that up because I hadn't actually given that little meter, and I know exactly what you're talking about. There's like a little bar, and it even has little tick marks if you're doing a boss to show you the different phases of the boss, like what stage you're in. So you know not only how far you are through the whole fight, but how far you got in that particular stage and how many more stages there are to go. And it's not the kind of thing that is very like present on your mind as something you think it's really cool, but it gives you so much information to kind of keep you going. Like it's one thing to die to a boss and not know how much further you have to go, but when you see that you died and you were right there, it's a whole completely different feeling. It's a really great addition that's subtle, but I think it adds a lot.
all right, and finally, a unit to measure awesomeness that has not yet been defined, but I'm sure to be on the scale there somewhere. I'm Quigabyte. As far as what I've been playing this week, I haven't actually been playing a whole lot of games. I did play Subnautica for a little bit. It's a game I've been playing for many years. I very much enjoy that game. I believe they have the entire story finally finished now and will be releasing. I'm not sure if it's this month or next month. It's been in early access for 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, something like that. So I believe they do have the final story in there now. So I'm kind of experiencing it again, and I may actually start from scratch again and go through the whole thing. It depends if I have enough patience, because it's one of those things where it was in early access. I've played so much of this game, but because I've played so much of it now and seen so much of the story and the spoilers, I'm wondering whether it's going to hold my attention enough to go through to the end of the story. I have been avoiding any news or information about how it ends, because if I find that out, I probably won't play it through. Obviously, I'm always playing Hearthstone, so a little more Hearthstone. I know some folks in here think I have some kind of mild addiction to Hearthstone, and that's probably true.
It's okay to admit that you have a problem.
We may have staged an intervention once or twice.
All right, so our first topic today is YouTube's improved sponsorships, taking a page out of Twitch's playbook. And Starfish, I think you're excited to talk about this topic.
I am. So I think it's really interesting. YouTube is rolling out sponsorship and it's out of beta for the YouTube gaming section. It's in closed beta outside the gaming section of YouTube. And what it is it works very much like subscribing. Obviously, in YouTube, that terminology is used for a different thing, but it's very much like subscribing on Twitch. So you
Right,
get
on YouTube, subscribing is like following on Twitch.
right. So they've got a different name for it. It's called sponsorship instead of subscribe, but it's the same price as the base Twitch subscription, and it's very similar. You get like the public chat badge, and you get to be able to use their emotes should they have any. You also get access to like sub exclusive chats, and you get exempt, I think, from slow mode. I thought it was really interesting too that the actual YouTube partner and the eligibility to have sponsorship are different things on YouTube. So you don't necessarily have to be partner, but they have these other little YouTube gaming eligibility that make it more accessible for smaller channels.
So what is the okay? I'm trying to get my terms right because YouTube confuses me a little bit with this term. So we're saying on YouTube, subscribing is like following. What is a YouTube partnership?
So a partner is all about monetization on YouTube, and you're eligible. You can monetize before that, but you're eligible for partner once you get 10,000 public channel views, and you've enabled monetization and yada 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 for anything. You're following the rules for AdSense and all of that stuff. Now the YouTube gaming sponsorship is slightly different. The threshold is that you have to have 1,000 subscribers, so it's not necessarily limited by public channel views. It's your follower count.
Okay, and you said that what getting sponsorship does is it's much like the Twitch partnership where you get, I assume, exclusive emotes for the people who what is the term they use? Sub? They can't say sub to you.
No, they sponsor you. Or
Okay,
you
so
sponsor them. So they say you directly their little pop up when you go to sponsor. Their bullet points are directly directly support the YouTuber, public recognition and an exclusive badge, access to live chats when available, cancel anytime, blah 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 blah.
okay, so I mean, do you think this is a really kind of a YouTube trying to compete with that service that's offered by Twitch as far as subscribing on Twitch goes?
Yeah, I mean the emotes and things like that are the same way, but it's also kind of reaching out to those smaller gaming channels and giving them that monetization perk a little early.
Got it. And what does Mixer currently do for as far as it goes for subscriptions or sponsorships or whatever they call it? Do you know?
It's similar. You get the ad-free viewing on Mixer. You support the Mixer streamer. You get Mixer has this whole XP system. Like I don't really watch anyone on Mixer, so I don't know how that works, but you get double XP when you're watching your subscribed channels, and then custom emotes can be used. And YouTube's does not give ad-free viewing like the other two do, because that would cut into YouTube Red, which they don't want to do.
All right. So Starfish, this was your topic. Have we covered the topic?
I think we have.
Okay, our next topic is communities. What's great? What could be improved? And how has creative been affected? Alex, do you have some thoughts on this?
I have so many thoughts. Twitch offers many ways to help streamers organize and be discovered. One of the newest Twitch features, Communities, allows streamers to tag their stream in accordance with their content. Streamers can broadcast up to 3 communities simultaneously, each catering to a specific audience. Some communities center on certain types of games, while others are focused around streamers who have a particular demeanor, chill or otherwise. With the ability to browse by community, viewers can look for streams that suit their interests even if they don't know what game they feel like watching. That said, communities are not necessarily at the top of streamers' or viewers' minds. The feature doesn't do much to help streamers of common interests or predilections organize themselves into a true community, and because the categories are not gated or moderated, they offer no guarantee that streamers in a community will adhere to its themes or expectations. While communities lay a groundwork for more granular stream categorization, it seems as though the current version doesn't quite live up to its potential. Today, we'll discuss our views on communities. What are your thoughts on communities in their current form? Do they add value to Twitch, or is their purpose unclear? How could they be improved to better serve both streamers and viewers? And I'll start this off by saying that I almost never use communities because as a streamer, I almost feel like there's no incentive. When I think about communities as a feature, I feel like even if I were to set them, the likelihood that I would benefit from them is slim to none. We have a streamer or two in our midst. Anchor, do you have any feelings about this?
Well, I just recently started using the communities feature, and so far, honestly, I haven't noticed much of a change in my statistics. I was kind of thinking maybe, oh, if I am streaming The Sims and I am doing a home build, let me see if I can find a community that is focused on building in The Sims. And of course, there it was, it exists. So I selected it and I streamed, but I didn't necessarily see an influx in viewers from having streamed to that community for 4 or 5 hours. That may change maybe if I did that like on a weekly basis, monthly basis, see, with some more frequency if that statistic changed. But just from using it for the past couple of months, I haven't really noticed any huge differences.
It's kind of been my experience as well. I'm looking right now at the top handful of communities. For those who aren't aware, you can actually, if you go to browse at the top of Twitch, you get the normal list of games that you're used to seeing, and then right next to that, there's a communities, and it says beta, but I mean, come on. You can click on the communities and see all the communities that are streaming right now sorted by popularity. And so the top 3 are variety streaming, chill streams, and positivity. Now, each of these has about 1,000 streams in it and about 30K or more viewers. And to the extent that there are 1,000 streams about a vague topic, how ultimately does that topic really help us narrow down what it is we want to watch? And how can we really be sure that any stream in positivity is going to be positive at all? Does that really help us find things? What do you guys think about that?
Well, the thing that I'm noticing just right off the bat, the number one featured community is variety streaming with 55,000 viewers and 1,800 streams. So let's say you are a variety streamer and you want to be recognized in that community. Unless you are already very popular, you probably aren't going to be seen in that realm of 1,800 streams. To stand
Yes.
out in 1,800 streams is huge. I mean, it would be very difficult. And I think that was the initial point of the communities, was to help drive new viewership to your channel, and that you are not getting the job done, I don't think, if you're streaming in a community that already has 1,800 streams in it.
Well, and it's so vague. What does that even mean? I mean, I know it means you play a lot of different games. I get that. But what does it mean as a viewer? It means nothing.
Yeah,
Like-
saying you're a variety streamer is kind of like saying, on this stream, we play games. That's about
We do
it.
stuff.
So that's I think the question that kind of led me to bring up this topic in the first place is like, who is this for? Like who ultimately benefits? And I think in some cases it makes a lot of sense. For speed running, I bet if you're a speedrunner, it makes a tremendous difference because it's a small enough, niche enough topic, and yet at the same time involves so many different types of games, and even within a game, so many different types of speedruns. Like Community seems like it's made for that kind of thing. But as far as pretty much any other category on Twitch is concerned, it seems very there are categories for streamers from certain nations or streamers who speak certain languages, but you would think there would already be a good enough framework to help people who speak a certain language to find streams for that language without having to resort to communities. So it just seems like so much potential is lost, especially because, and this is the big thing for me, it feels like if I'm going to have a feature called a community and I'm going to be part of a community, I would expect for that to help me connect with the other streamers in my category. Now, as somebody who technically runs a community, I run the Gingers community on Twitch, which I started kind of as a joke on a whim, and then I forgot about it. And now today, like at any given time, anywhere between like 4 and 6 people are streaming to that community. But I had no awareness of it. It's not something I had any incentive to monitor. There are no features to really help me involve those people. The community doesn't recognize the people who are in it because you can join or drop it at any time. I have the power to moderate the community in the sense that I can kick people out of it or prevent them from streaming to it. And then I think I can send an email to the people who are in my community. But since that changes at any given time, who am I really sending, a message to? It's like there are kind of features there to make a framework out of it for an actual community, but they seem half-baked at best.
So I was just looking at the original announcement from Twitch for communities. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to read it out real quick so we can see what they were thinking when they released this feature.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to hear this.
Yeah. So it says, the search for a great stream is something that everyone on Twitch can relate to. Right now, many viewers find new streamers by happenstance, through a Reddit thread or a tweet from a favorite streamer, or maybe from a hosted stream on a Twitch channel page. Discovering new streams is part of what makes exploring Twitch so fun and rewarding. And now we're making it even easier for viewers and streamers to connect to the content that most interests them. Introducing communities. Communities are a new discovery tool to help streamers connect to the most relevant audiences and help viewers discover streams that fit their interests easier and faster than ever. Using self-organizing public groups centered around specific activities, for example, a type of gameplay like speedrunning or an activity such as painting, communities puts more power to discover, share, and connect with new content, friends, and followers in your hands. And that's all they said about it under the original announcement.
So there's some intent there at least to connect people. I was actually just now thinking as I'm looking at the category, and this is an interesting point that kind of touches on the fact that communities, they try to be an organizational body, but they don't actually have any true meat or organization to them. And it actually, I'll give this example. In the same way that I own the Gingers community, I'm the administrator, I can pretty much do whatever I want with it. Somebody out there owns the variety streaming category, and somebody owns the chill stream categories, and the RPG category, and competitive Overwatch, and all the other ones. And that person has the power to ban people from those communities. So if communities were a meaningful tool for finding streams or sorting streams, there's one person out there who's the judge, jury, and executioner who could prevent you from streaming to it if they didn't like your streams and didn't want to compete with you.
What's interesting is I actually have the Twitch directory page open right now, and I don't know if I'm looking at a different screen to you, but I don't have communities across the top anymore, and the communities are just mixed in with the games. Is that what you're seeing?
No, it's a completely separate tab for me.
Yeah, so I actually have I'll have speed running next to Heroes of the Storm. It's actually between Heroes of the Storm and Warcraft 3.
Are you on the Twitch beta page?
No, it's not. And then I'll see, I'm looking here, chill streams between FTL and Rust.
Yeah, I don't have that at all.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And I don't know if that's just something strange that I'm seeing, or I didn't know if that was some new feature that had been implemented.
Well, that's very interesting, because what if that's not just you? What if there are a couple hundred other viewers on Twitch who are not seeing that presented in the same way? There's your confusion right there. Like, it's not doing its job if everyone has a different view on how things are organized. Because the whole thing about visiting a website is to find exactly what you're looking for on the first try and not having to click 18 different times to find what you're looking for.
Okay, so just hypothetically, given the intent of what Twitch was trying to do with communities, given that intent, how would we, if we were going to make changes to it, what would we do? Alex, you pointed to one of the things that someone can jump in and out of a community at any time. So it kind of makes it meaningless, right? So would it help if you had to stay in a community for a certain length of time?
See, this is the snagging point in my mind, is because if a community is something that you're obligated to kind of commit to, like if it actually had some weight to joining or leaving, or like you had to be approved to stream in a community, then that introduces a whole brand new variety of problems. Again, because one person owns the RPG communities, if that guy's a gatekeeper and there becomes like some structure to the community, and there's people, being admitted and not admitted, that creates an interesting or weird situation. I guess that's the big one. The big one is kind of that gatekeeper. The ability to gatekeep makes it either needs to go one way or another, where communities actually need to be very structured and not dominate their categories, or they need to be totally free and not have the impression of having structure. Like the communities as we have them right now could effectively just be adapted into kind of what Creative had before. Creative had, you just threw a hashtag in your title, and that's how you were sorted. And so that was what differentiated you, or kind of put you in a hat. And doing that with communities almost seems like an easier way to categorize your stream, or associate it with other streams or a certain theme of streaming, without it pretending to be a community.
So let's just talk about that for a second. The way the hashtag system used to work is you would put a hashtag or several hashtags in your stream title, and Twitch's interface would automatically parse that into subcategories within the creative section. So you might have hashtag painting, hashtag illustration, hashtag art or something. And then within those hashtags, all of the streams that have that hashtag would show up in that subcategory. So if I'm looking for a stream of a painter or perler beads or whatever that subcategory I'm looking to watch is, I can really easily find that, or I could previously really easily find that sorted type of stream within the broader creative community. And that went away with the advent of Twitch communities.
Yeah, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are, but it used to be that within a sub community, like within your hashtag, so there would be a page for game dev. There would be a game dev page for all the streams that are in the game dev category, and the community, the main page had a chat room, and within that chat room, you could vote on which stream should be like the focus on that main page. So the sub community, like the game dev community, worked almost collaboratively to decide what content they featured, and then that was front and center. So the whole thing actually felt like a community. You were streaming with other people in a category that was kind of yours. You had your own front page, and you could be an active participant in how your community is represented. So it felt so much more like a community than the current iteration that we have, like
And at
night
the
and day.
same time, there's no gatekeeper, there's no structure really, or anything like that. And it's as fluid as the stream was. So if you finished your painting and wanted to move on to a sketch, then you could take that painting hashtag off and do hashtag sketching or hashtag ink, and then you're in a different hashtag section.
Exactly. Ruukxx brings up an interesting question. I'm not sure if he wants to say it himself or if I should read it for him.
I can try and say it myself and try and make it
I don't mind.
make sense. Basically, my question or the point that I was wondering about is that basically variety is such a blanket term, and it's obviously the biggest community at the moment. So, is part of the problem Twitch streamers seeing that it's the biggest community and stating that they're just variety instead of being more specific with the community they're in hopes of getting more views and stuff like that.
I mean,
100%.
Yeah, I would say the short answer to that is for sure. Like, definitely.
The problem is it's just in the same way that a lot of streamers who want to get noticed will have you ever seen a streamer like Lyric playing a really big game and he pulls in like 30 grand people, and it'll be a game that you would never see in the top list of the games. It's only there because he's playing it. So then you click on it and it's his stream with 30,000 views, and then you see some guy with 10 viewers or less and he's streaming a totally different game under that game just because he thinks it's a way that he'll get noticed. It's the same deal. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because something has people's attention or is popular, it's naturally going to draw more people to it in hopes that they're going to draw that attention, that popularity, which in turn makes it more popular, which makes people more drawn to it. And so it's just kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy that a community that really means nothing just balloons to gigantic proportions.
I think it can also happen that same way, but unintentionally as well. I used to stream The Sims 4 on like a weekly basis, usually every Sunday. And one Sunday, Lyric was actually streaming The Sims 4, and I was getting tons and tons of new people chatting in my channel, probably because they were seeing Lyric playing with 30,000 views, and they were like, let me check out some other Sims 4 streamers. And then I just so happened to be streaming it that day as well. But I think my point here is that whether it's intentional or unintentional, our community's doing the job that Twitch initially set out for them to achieve. Because if this is what's happening, is just people are happening upon streams randomly due to other popular streamers streaming those games, we could be streaming without communities. I mean, that's how it was before.
Here's something interesting. Ruukxx made me think of this actually, is maybe it is working. And the reason I say that is you have the streamers out there who aren't putting the effort in as far as which community they go into. They're just throwing in variety. They don't know what to use the feature for. They don't know how to use it. They're just throwing their name into something that's popular, right? However, and Alex mentioned this too, if I want to find a speedrunner, I can just go to the speedrunners community. If I want to find one of these more niche areas, it does help me find it. So is the feature actually working? It's just that when we're looking at it, we're seeing these big generic communities that have no consistency. They don't bind people together. And Twitch mentioned that it was a way for people to find streamers and for streamers to find the audiences that were looking for that particular content. So just throwing it on its head, maybe it is working.
See, I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. I mean, there might be some niche areas like speedrunning where it does work great, but for the average streamer, I don't think communities does anything.
Yeah, I really wish the stats page for streamers actually dug into this, because I'm looking at mine from my most recent stream and I can see that a certain amount of traffic came from people on the browse page. You can see kind of where the internal external sources are of people who view your stream, and there's not a good way for me to see if anybody actually came to me through my community. Now, granted, it might be that I can see if people came to me through my community and it's just not showing up because my community has 4 people in it and nobody would ever find it. But maybe if I suddenly, I'll do this as an experiment. Maybe we'll do a follow-up in the future. I will set myself to variety, chill, positivity, and then let's see if, a handful of streams from now, I can see traffic that came from chill streams, and maybe something will show up. I don't know if Anchor, you've seen any numbers, if anybody else we know has any data on that, but I would be really interested to see, like, really just by the numbers, where is it actually really generating much of any traffic at all?
Yeah, and this is kind of an experiment I've been wanting to do as well, specifically relating to creative, because I'm actually on the creative directory, like, of communities right now, and I primarily stream perler art when I do creative, and that community isn't even on here right now. So I don't know, I would just be kind of interesting to it would be interesting to see if I would gain more traffic perhaps utilizing some of these creative communities rather than just streaming from IRL, because that's what I've been doing lately when I stream creative is I've just been streaming it from IRL because I get more traffic that way. I get more, fresh blood, so to speak. So, yeah, it would be kind of interesting from both a gaming standpoint and a creative standpoint to kind of pick some other people's brains, I think.
What would be the alternative, though? Just like clarify the existing communities or create like sub communities within that category? Because I think you're right. It's not working as it should be, but I'm like trying to figure out what they could do to like draw more people in. Because like you said, 1800 streams, you're just gonna get lost in the numbers, that's for sure. But I don't know if they could create subcategories in each community to clarify what the content is about.
I think in my mind, communities made perfect sense for creative and it worked really well there, and the implementation was better than it is now. I think what happened is that they tried to adapt that for Twitch at large, and it just doesn't work, because you can't really, when you can assign to your stream kind of vague categories about like mood or things like that, it's kind of hard to have any expectation that when you click on it, you're going to get the thing that you're coming for. So I think the only real answer would be that instead of people just being able to make infinite number of communities and running themselves, like having some Twitch streamer be the, like I said, the judge, jury, and executioner and the person running the show, Twitch would instead have predefined communities that were basically just like games already in a list, and they generated it. And so you chose from their list what category you were streaming in. And that allows Twitch to kind of moderate it, and then allows viewers or people in the community to self-moderate as well and say, like, okay, well, this person's streaming, but they're not actually speedrunning this, or that. And so ultimately that's work for Twitch, right? But if Twitch wants communities to be worth a damn, they're going to have to do work, right? They're going to have to put in the time and make sure that it's a system that leaves less room for people to basically make it meaningless.
And I mean, the hashtag system worked really well in creative, but there are, I would think, too many trolls on Twitch just in general.
There are
To
no
have
trolls on
it
Twitch.
be, I know. To have it be feasible, just rolled out the way it was for creative. So to Alex's point, I think having a preset list of communities or categories or however you want to call it would be beneficial. And to keep up with the evolving nature of streaming and the different things that people think of to do with streaming, which changes constantly, it'd be really cool if Twitch let people submit to have things added to this list.
Yeah, and the great thing about that is that the communities that make sense would stick around. Like in a future where Twitch decides what streaming communities exist, speedrunning is not going anywhere. Competitive shooter category is not going anywhere. RPG category is not going anywhere. Maybe one thing that would be worth doing is expanding upon the granularity that your set game allows you to have. Like if I'm playing Final Fantasy VII, it's not a stretch to imagine that I could automatically be sorted into some sort of RPGs category, or if that I'm playing Overwatch, I might automatically be sorted into an FPS category. So it seems totally natural that I would have maybe a page where I can see types of games and just choose from that without even the streamer even having to be part of a community. That seems like a no-brainer. Just like I would expect that I should be able to look up streams by language based on the streamer's settings rather than having to find a community of people who speak Spanish or speak French or whatever other thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's kind of interesting. And I'm hoping Starfish can jump in here. But wasn't there not too long ago some way you could filter? I'm thinking Overwatch by hero or something like that.
Yes, that is a thing now. You can sort Overwatch and also Hearthstone streams by the hero that the person is playing so that you can more easily say learn to play.
Yeah,
in
and that's
either of
even
them.
more advanced
Sure.
than what Alex is talking about. So, I mean, Alex is talking about a very generic kind of based on the game that you're playing. You know, it's an RPG, so let's just sort you into the RPG category or community, however you want to call it. So it is interesting, and I guess this could just be the first iteration. You know, see how things are going and adapt based on community feedback.
Yeah, and I think that's also where they benefit from noting that it's still in beta. I think that this is a feature that could be evolving for years to come, you know? As Twitch changes, I think the way that this feature works will change as well.
Trying to see if I can find out how old my community is, because on the note of, you know, maybe it'll evolve and change, it's been exactly like this for some time, so I'm trying to see precisely how long, because I made the images for it. I don't know if you've been to the Gingers community, but the header is beautiful. It's got the three best gingers on it. It's got a gingerbread man, it's got Ginger the Root, and of course everybody's favorite Spice Girl, Ginger Spice.
I was just looking up your community. I see. I'm a noob here because I don't actually know how to find a community.
Doesn't that speak volume? You don't even know where to find communities?
Well, like I said, I don't have anything across the top for communities. So
No, in the search bar, if you search for gingers right now and then you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a thing for communities.
Yeah, there should be a heading there. Okay, so I checked my creation date when I made all the assets for the Gingers community, all the pictures. The date was February 26th. So it's been about 7 months that it's been precisely the way that it is right now. So nary any development to be seen.
okay, yeah, I see it now, and that is a beautiful header. Just so you know.
Thank you very much. I did that at work while I should have been doing other things.
and I do like the little DVD style cover on the left hand side that makes it look like there is a TV show about gingers.
I'd watch that show. Also, it's Christina Hendricks.
I noticed that.
Forehead. I regret that I couldn't get the other great parts of Christina Hendricks.
I was going to say that's what she's most well known for, is her beautiful.
Yeah, it's her forehead. Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, can I stream from the Gingers community as well now that I have semi-red hair?
Yeah.
Even though it's not real.
See, I cared enough about my community to put in my description, this is a community for streamers who happen to be red in the hair places. All gingers, redheads, and daywalkers are welcome. Dyed hair is fine too.
Oh, I just read that. That's perfect.
Wow,
See,
so inclusive of you.
I'm very thoughtful. Let the record state.
All right. Let's move on to our third topic. So I think we wanted to recognize and maybe discuss just a little bit about the improvements that Twitch has recently put into their streamer stats page. Being a streamer who streams maybe 2 or 3 times a year, I haven't actually looked at my streamer stats page for a while. So I'm hoping someone who has recently looked at their streamer stats page can tell me why this is awesome and why this is sexy.
Oh boy, howdy. Did Twitch get it right on the stats page? For all my derision about communities, the stats page is top notch. The old one didn't get into the level of detail that I really wanted. And I've spread around to the rest of the podcast a picture of my most recent stream, which was like an hour before we started recording. So fresh off the dome. It used to be that the data actually, I believe, took a while to process and become available. But now it's available quite quickly, and you can see a lot of information about your stream at a glance. The most interesting thing for me is that before it was difficult to find out the demographics of your stream. And that's something that I think a lot of streamers don't exactly have use for. It's not something that's very practical for them. But now I can see, for example, where my viewers are coming from. What nation are they in? What platform do they watch on? And this was actually very revelatory for me because I didn't know that 40% of my viewers are either watching on iOS or Android. Almost half my viewers are not watching on computers. And as somebody who's basically on a computer all the time and watches Twitch on a computer, the idea is just, it didn't even cross my mind that it would be that many people. It's kind of mind blowing. So that information is super valuable as far as thinking about how people interact with your stream and how you can help make your stream better as a result. Because I would say it's kind of more difficult for somebody who's on a mobile app to be active in a chat participant than it is for somebody who's on a computer. They're kind of I would say somebody watching on a phone is almost kind of like an involuntary lurker, right?
Well, I actually I use the phone to chat when I'm watching on Roku, for example. So I'll use it just as a chat device, watch the actual stream on my Roku on the TV, and it makes a good combination. So I add 2 viewers to your chat.
I was just going to ask that.
So
Does
generous.
that count as 1 viewer for console/TV and 1 viewer for either Android or iOS?
My understanding is it counts as 2 viewers and 1 chatter.
What if you were signed in as yourself? If you're signed in as Quigabyte on your Roku and you're signed in as Quigabyte on your phone, is it
Yes.
still 2 viewers? Because I feel like, really?
I don't have any evidence of that, really. I haven't tested it. Starfish, you're saying yes, like absolutely yes. I know that for sure.
Well, no, I just think you are very, very certainly both Quigabyte on your Roku and on your phone. Like that's happening on your username both at the same time. Now, I don't know what it counts and doesn't count. That's not a thing that I have the ability to figure out.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm actually looking. Alex posted a picture to us here of his stats from his last stream from his dashboard. And I'm looking here, and so I'm seeing it shows your average viewers, how many new followers you got, clip views and clips created, the peak time of your stream as well. So it's got a few base kind of numbers at the top, and it has your graph with the time across the bottom. So we're seeing how many viewers at different times during the stream. And what's really interesting here is then you also have, like you said, the demographics insofar as where were they viewing from. Obviously for you, the majority is the United States, although we see, 1 person from Jamaica and 1 person from Lithuania who are actually viewing your stream, which is, I bet you didn't know you had, a fan base in Jamaica and Lithuania.
Dude,
So-
I'm huge in Jamaica. Thank you very much.
But yeah, as you said, we can look down and we can see that by platform, you have, 35-40% of your total viewers are coming from mobile devices, which is pretty interesting. And those stats seems like they were available almost immediately after your stream too.
Very quickly, yeah. Really, I think the most valuable part of this is that you get this chart at the top. And what is great about the chart is that you get to take a look at your viewership almost by like every 5-minute segment. And so I can see how my viewership changes in accordance with what games I'm playing. So I always start my Sunday streams out. I play my Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, and I can see that I got a peak there about 16 to 19 viewers. So I got a really good viewership. And then I switched to Hive Swap. I was playing something new, not super popular. I got a dip, but it kept, between around 8 viewers for most of the stream. And at the end, I played some Cuphead, and that affected a little bit. So I can kind of identify how the things that I'm doing or that might be going on at any given time are affecting how many people are coming through. So that's pretty interesting too.
What would be interesting to see also in those stats is if on that graph it categorized what game you were playing actually on the graph at that time. So in other words, what game you had your stream set to.
Yeah, I would actually love it if it did that. That would make a tremendous difference. And of course, that is ultimately relying on the streamer being very vigilant. But maybe someday, with how Twitch is integrating, kind of like you talked about earlier, it can now recognize what Overwatch character you're playing by simply looking at your screen and using machine learning to deduce who you're playing. In the same way, maybe at some point you don't have to worry about changing your game because Twitch knows what game you're playing and automatically changes your categories for you. And so that way, that gives them even more reliable data to understand how the different games people play affect their viewership. So there's a lot of great layers there. I think they could do a lot of interesting stuff with that data. And data is king.
And you know what's interesting too? So you were talking about whether or not you'd be able to tell which communities brought in viewers. So you do have on the right-hand side, you have views by internal referrer. So it says browse page, followers, others. It'll be interesting to see the results of your experiment to see whether you'll get the community showing up on the right-hand side there.
That would be my main question is, are they going to show up either as other or as a search or under browse page? Like, I don't know if there is a referrer keyword for communities, but if there were, I think that's how we could begin to really make that work for us as streamers. Because if I was seeing, wow, I'm getting so many viewers from the variety stream community, I'm going to stay in this community because I get more viewers when I stream from this community. Or I'm not going to stream in the chill community anymore because I'm not getting as many viewers as if I streamed in a different community. I think if they could, like, I don't know, hone in on that specific information in this section of the stats page, that would be super helpful.
That might be the thing that could break those big, vague communities if people are finding that they aren't as useful as, for example, something that's more targeted. And that's kind of what you guys were talking about earlier with people streaming an unpopular game in the same, or streaming a game in an unpopular category to try and piggyback off of a big streamer.
Yeah, I really hope that we can actually get some. Really, what we should do is just quiz some huge streamer and find out what they see and if it really makes a difference. I know a lot of big streamers are not, biting at the opportunity to release their, analytics information. But even then, like imagine that chill streams and positivity and all those other big categories don't actually do anything for your numbers. The thing is that there's almost no, unless a small community is worth a ton of viewership, there's ultimately no incentive for people to leave the communities they're already in. There's almost like there's no penalty. Like they're not gonna suffer viewership for being a part of them. So those communities will probably just remain big forever by the nature of them being big. Not to go back to our previous. I mean, it ties into what we're talking about. But once community is big, what's gonna cause it to shrink? And I can think of pretty much nothing.
Yeah, so looks like the new stats are good. We'll wait for the results of your experiment to see if communities do show up in your stats at all. And then maybe we can ask around too to some other streamers we know and see if those do show up in their stats and what kind of things they're looking for as well.
Yeah, my communities are already updated, so we'll see what happens.
All right, I'm excited.
The new layout compared to the one they had before, it seems to be more like stream focused, because I think before your stats were displayed as a calendar, right? So you had like just the dates and things like that, and now they're very focused on like the analytics of your streams especially. So as I see, like you got your calendar, the time you streamed, and it's more focused on your stream than it used to be before.
I think you had to really spend some time searching for the data that you wanted. And now they just kind of give it to you. They just say, here's all of the information that we gathered from your most recent live stream. Here it is. And you don't really have to, you can filter by average viewers or new followers or clip views or anything like that. But other than that, it's not necessarily hard to deduce like what occurred in your most recent stream.
Yeah, the old page was really not user friendly. It was kind of hard to dig through to get the information that you wanted. So if you were a more analytically inclined person, I think people got along just fine. But it definitely makes a big difference the way it is now, because now I think even streamers who are very very right brained, they're not exactly data people. I think they can glean a lot of information from this. Especially like we've even got this little bar at the top, so it tells you how many viewers you had, and you can change the stats that it shows. You can customize. I don't know if you see the little arrow in the top bar, but there's drop downs here, so I can change which stats I see. So I can customize whatever data I want to see in any of these slots. So it can be super, super valuable.
Yeah, I think a good follow-up question to that, and I'm really not the best person to answer it because I'm not a streamer, but I'll delegate it to you guys, is what actually could be added even furthermore than that to help you guys know what your stats are about?
That's a good question. I'm honestly thinking about it. I look at this. It's when I come to this page, I kind of want to get a good idea of how my stream fared traffic wise. Like, there's other information that I'm interested in. Like, one would be um, revenue. But the thing about revenue is because it comes in a lot of forms. Like, a lot of it is through Twitch. Your subs and your bits. But there's also external revenue, and so it would not be the best place. Probably Streamlabs would do a better job of tracking that information because they would have all of it. Whereas Twitch is only going to have a portion of any information about money incoming that I might have. So Twitch could add some revenue stats front and center. And to their credit, there is a revenue page. It's a totally separate page. You can click on and it'll tell you about the amount that you've made in a certain range of time. And that page isn't the best. It's not super friendly. It doesn't do the best job of conveying the information that I want like super quickly. But yeah, no matter what, Twitch is never going to have the full story just because donations exist. But I think as far as the stats about traffic and viewership and stats by the minute, I think where it's at is actually really fantastic. I got to hand it to Twitch. They did a good job with this.
What about you, Anchor?
I think probably, I guess, to piggyback off of our whole conversation today, to see a benefit from using communities both for gaming and for creative would be very helpful, especially if you're a stream that is constantly trying to grow and expand your audience to new viewership. I think being able to see which communities are more successful for you as an individual would be very helpful. I'm not sure how they would add that metric to this stats page, but for me personally, someone who does gaming and creative, I think that would be very helpful. Also, this is just a super first world problem here, but the top headers are not dark mode friendly. Where it says average viewers and new followers and clip views, you can barely see those headers if you're in Twitch dark mode. Just fun fact. But that's totally not a big deal. But yeah, just being able to see, I guess, where the viewership comes from in a more specific manner, if they're able to pull that, would be excellent.
Yeah, I think I agree. And just like I said before, just looking at these, not streaming a whole lot, but just looking at this, just putting those categorizations, tying into what both Alex and Anka said, putting those categorizations on what game was I streaming / what community was I streaming at during that time on there would be something that I would think a streamer would like to see, that information to know, hey, streaming in this community helps me out a lot, or streaming this game is doing very well for me. Streaming this game is not doing very well for me. So I think that's interesting. But I mean, they're on the right track, right? It's an improvement. It's a lot of good information, very similar to the stats that YouTube give you. I was recently looking at the stats that YouTube give you, although I would say that it appears that they give you these stats much quicker. It took YouTube 2 days after the last video I uploaded to give me this information. So
yeah, I mean, that's one thing that Twitch has to its credit, is they're very expedient in getting the information to you literally right after you click stop streaming.
All right, anything else to say on the stats?
Nope.
All right, so we have been PodChamp, Alex, Anchor, Ruukxx, Giga, Starfish, and Quigabyte. That's PodChamp, PodCast. You can find us on Twitter. That's probably the best place if you want to talk to us, send more information, and please go there and follow us. We need followers. We love you. We hope you love us. We hope you enjoyed the the podcast. And please leave us any feedback. If there's certain things that you think are great about this podcast, you'd like to see more of, if there are any topics you'd like us to talk about, if there are any things we do you don't like, let us know. We'd like to engage with you as we move this podcast forward. So thank you for listening again, and we look forward to the next podcast.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Later, nerds.
Bye.